It is 3 a.m., the witching hour. The house is silent. The world is asleep. But you are not. You are staring at the ceiling, eyes wide open, while your brain runs a marathon of anxious thoughts that you cannot turn off. You look at the clock, 3:01, 3:02. Every tick is a reminder that tomorrow is going to be miserable. You open the medicine cabinet. Maybe there is a sleeping pill left. But then you remember the grogginess, the brain fog, the feeling of being a zombie until noon. Or worse, you realize you're running out and the pharmacy is not an option right now. Insomnia is not just an inconvenience. It is a form of torture. It breaks your immune system, it ages your heart, and it shatters your sanity. But what if I told you that the most powerful sedative on Earth isn't made in a Swiss laboratory? It's probably growing in a damp ditch less than a mile from your house. It doesn't require a prescription, it doesn't cause addiction, and it shuts down the anxiety loop in your brain in less than 20 minutes. But there is a catch, a big one. This plant smells terrible. I am not exaggerating. It smells like dirty gym socks that have been soaked in vinegar. Because of this smell, modern society has thrown it in the trash. We traded it for odorless white pills. But in doing so, we traded our independence for addiction. But stay with me, because I'm going to teach you a secret method used by master herbalists to neutralize that awful smell using nothing but cold water and a common garden herb. However, I must give you a critical safety warning right now. Nature is generous, but she is not harmless. There is a deadly poisonous plant that loves to grow right next to our sleep medicine. They look like sisters, but just one bite of its root will stop your heart before the ambulance arrives. Do not go foraging yet. At the end of this video, I will give you a simple, life-saving rule. In just 1 minute, you will be able to easily distinguish between the healer and the killer with 100% accuracy. This is the story of Valerian Root. Welcome to Reclaimed Nature.
To understand why this stinky root is worth the trouble, we have to leave your bedroom and travel back to a place where sleep was impossible. The year is 1916, the Western Front of World War I. Picture the trenches, mud, rats, and the constant earth-shaking boom of artillery fire. Soldiers were collapsing, not from bullets, but from shell shock. Their nervous systems were fried. They were shaking uncontrollably, unable to speak, unable to eat, and definitely unable to sleep. In this living hell, field doctors didn't have Xanax, they didn't have Valium. Those synthetic compounds wouldn't exist for another 40 years. So how did they stop a soldier's heart from exploding out of his chest? They reached for tincture of valerian. Throughout the war, this root was the primary weapon against psychological collapse. It was issued by the gallon. Why? Because it worked. It didn't just knock men out like a sledgehammer. It calmed the autonomic nervous system. It lowered blood pressure. It stopped the tremors. It allowed men who had seen the unthinkable to close their eyes and find a few hours of peace. If it was strong enough to bring sleep to a soldier in a bombardment, imagine what it can do for your 3 a.m. anxiety. For centuries, valerian was the undisputed king of calm. From medieval healers to military doctors, it was the gold standard. So here is the uncomfortable question. If this plant saved a generation from shell shock, why has it been erased from modern medicine? Why in 1960 did it suddenly disappear from the shelves to be replaced by a bottle of pills that causes dependency in 2 weeks? The answer isn't medical, it is financial. And it starts with a company called Roche. The villain in this story isn't a person, it is a concept. It is called convenience. In the 1960s, a pharmaceutical giant named Roche introduced a miracle molecule called diazepam, marketed to the world as Valium. It was perfect. It was a tiny white pill. It had no smell. It had no taste. It worked instantly, and most importantly for the shareholders, it was patentable. You cannot patent a root that grows in a ditch. If everyone can dig up their own sleep medicine, nobody makes a profit. So a narrative was built. Valerian was labeled as primitive, smelly, and folklore. Valium was labeled as science, clean, and modern. And we bought it. Literally. Between 1968 and 1982, Valium was the single most prescribed drug in the Western world. It became known as Mother's Little Helper. We traded the stinky root for the clean pill. But there was a hidden cost that the glossy advertisements didn't mention: addiction. Synthetic sedatives like benzodiazepines are incredibly efficient at turning off your brain. Too efficient. They force your nervous system to shut down. But over time, your brain fights back. It builds a tolerance. You need one pill, then two, then three. If you try to stop cold turkey, the withdrawal can be life-threatening. We walked into a trap. We chose convenience over safety. We chose the easy path, and we ended up dependent on a supply chain we cannot control. But here's the twist. For decades, they told us that valerian was just a placebo, that it was weak tea for grandmothers. But modern biochemistry has finally caught up, and what they found inside this root has shocked the skeptics. It turns out the primitive plant was doing something far more sophisticated than the modern pill. Let's get technical for a minute, because this is where you regain your confidence in nature. Your brain has a brake pedal. It is a neurotransmitter called GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid. When GABA is released, it tells your neurons to stop firing. It tells your anxiety to sit down. It tells your body to sleep. Synthetic drugs like Valium work like a brick on that brake pedal. They slam it down to the floor. That is why you pass out. That is why you get that hungover, groggy feeling the next morning. It is a forced shutdown. Valerian works differently. According to studies from the National Institutes of Health, the compounds in valerian, specifically valerianic acid and iridoids, do not slam the brake. Instead, they act like a GABA whisperer. They prevent your brain from destroying its own GABA supply. They gently encourage the brake pedal to engage. They inhibit the enzyme that breaks down your calming chemicals, allowing them to linger longer in your system. This distinction is crucial. Because it is a gentle nudge rather than a violent shove, valerian preserves your sleep architecture. It allows you to enter REM sleep naturally. This means no grogginess, no brain fog, and most importantly, zero physical addiction. You can take it tonight and skip it tomorrow. Your body won't punish you for it. It is sophisticated pharmacology packaged in a dirty root. Nature spent millions of years perfecting this formula. We spent 50 years trying to copy it, and we ended up creating an addiction crisis. Science has confirmed the power is real. The mechanism is proven, so the only thing standing between you and the best sleep of your life is finding it. But remember my warning at the beginning? Nature is not a pharmacy with quality control. Out in the wild, the sleep god grows shoulder to shoulder with the angel of death. If you don't know the difference, do not dig. But don't worry, I'm about to give you the survival protocol to identify it with 100% accuracy and the secret recipe to make it drinkable. This is where theory ends and survival begins. If you go foraging for valerian, you're entering a danger zone. Growing in the exact same damp soil is water hemlock, Cicuta maculata. It looks similar, it smells sweet, and it kills in 15 minutes. So, memorize this hollow root rule. It is the only thing that matters. When you dig up a root that you think is valerian, take your knife and slice it vertically. Look inside. If the root is solid, white, and smells like dirty socks, that is medicine. If the root is hollow, divided into small chambers like a bamboo stalk, and oozes a yellow sap, that is death. Drop it. Wash your hands, walk away. Solid is safe. Hollow is horror. Etch that into your mind. Now, once you have the right root, how do you conquer the smell? Most people boil it. That is a rookie mistake. Boiling water destroys the delicate oils and releases the heavy acids that smell like gym socks. Here is the cold infusion protocol that changes everything. Step 1. Chop the fresh or dried root into small pieces. Do not powder it. Step 2. Put 1 teaspoon into a jar of cold water. Step 3 is the secret weapon. Add a pinch of peppermint or lemon balm. These herbs don't just mask the smell, they bind with the volatile oils to lock the stench inside the water. Step 4. Seal the jar and let it sit on your counter for 12 hours. Do not heat it. When you drink it, you won't taste old socks. You will taste an earthy, minty tea that is 10 times more potent than any boiled brew. Tonight, millions of people will stare at their ceilings, praying for sleep. They will reach for a pill that steals their dreams and enslaves their biology. But you have a choice. You know about the root that saved soldiers in the trenches. You know how to identify it, and now you know how to tame it. Growing valerian in your garden isn't just landscaping. It is an act of rebellion. It is a declaration that you own your mind, you own your rest, and you don't need a prescription to find peace. So, the next time 3 a.m. comes knocking, don't panic. Walk to your jar, pour a glass of the cold calm, and reclaim the sleep that nature intended for you. If you're ready to take back your nights, hit the like button. Subscribe to Reclaimed Nature, because true independence starts when you close your eyes. Sleep well.